Good evening, and welcome to the conclusion of the Building the World Conference, which has been taking place for the last 8 weeks. For those of you who have been following the conference, we have gone through every sector of society, and we've been following the Barbara Marx Hubbard Wheel of Co-Creation model to assist us in this exploration. We wish to end this conference with some very inspirational art, and we're going to start with the work of Katie Wells, who's a professor of dance at Radford University in Virginia. She holds an MFA and BA in dance and minor theater. In addition, she is the founder of Interweave, a platform for teaching dance to anyone who wishes to embark on a journey of embodiment. To Katie, dance is far more than entertainment. It's a process of inner growth that brings people into embodied presence as a gateway to come home to themselves, express their psyche, and open their spirit to connect with humanity and the ground of being. Katie performs what she calls conscious dance theater, an interdisciplinary art form that inspires the inner growth of her audience. She weaves dance, improvisation, and audience involvement with theater, film, music, fine art, and even stand-up comedy. Currently, Katie's performing Letters to Humanity, a one-woman show she created that offers vignettes that express our disembodied culture. It is a sincere portrayal of addiction, emotions, gender biases, along with insights into coming back to wholeness. Tonight, we're going to show 2 of Katie's videos. The first reveals how dance connects individual energy to create group synergy. And in the second video, Katie treats us to a mystical performance. Please enjoy, and with the group video that starts, if you want, get out of your chair and dance.
Interweave conscious dance is a practice that weaves multiple healing modalities in a process that recognizes and integrates different aspects of being human. We ground through our bodies, we sense our emotions, open the heart, and connect to spirit. The first half of an interweave class is a deep inward journey. And the second half is an outward expansion, connecting us with community.
It incorporates so many things: yoga, movement, dance, improv, group, like Sufi dancing, looking into people's eyes. It's very healing and very powerful.
Was when we put blindfolds on. I didn't expect it, but having my sight taken away from me just allowed me to have this incredible experience. I was a child again, running through the forest. I was a goddess creating the world. It was so freeing to let go of the consciousness of what I might look like to others, or to myself, and discover what my body wanted to do next.
is not easy. Yet there are ways to experience life more truly, feeling connected and alive.
It was a really wonderful experience. It really opened me up and brought me to this state of complete looseness. And actually, at the end of it, I was feeling very ecstatic, light and ecstatic.
Ngomong jujur, bumi wis ate acur, wong gak kena diatur, dibubur.
We really hope that you enjoyed that performance. We felt it was a really soulful way to begin to thank our speakers and to segue into some post-conference planning. So Stephen's going to join us, and he's going to tell us more about what you can expect after we end this conference this evening. Stephen?
Sure. And I'll keep you on here, Laura, because there might be a couple of things that you can add as I go through these. But we do want to ensure that we mention that the Facebook page for the conference will continue to remain up, so you can not only come back to it to watch all of the presentations, including tonight's roundtable and last night's and everything else, but you can also go to the Facebook page to make connections, continue any of the discussion threads, or create new discussion threads, as however you're led. So we just invite you to come back to the Facebook page as much as you would like to. It will remain open. And then another place to come is the Peace Pentagon Hub. And let me put in the URL for that there, peacepentagon.net/hub. So Laura, anything you want to say about what people can expect there and how they can contribute?
Sure. Just briefly, I do want the audience to know that this site was originally being prototyped for the Office of the Future Project with Barbara Marks Hubbard. She has now passed, and we're maintaining the site because I think we believe it's a good start to a networking platform. So the Peace Pentagon is both a place for strategic planning, and it's also a portal for sacred activism. And at the site, you'll see some contented news, some vetted news, but it's primarily intended to be a site where if you identify your primary sectors of interest, you can see news there and you can connect with others who also are passionate about specific sectors. It also has a member forum, and we're looking for volunteers to help curate the news, to post content. And once you're a member of the hub, and it is free, it's another outlet for you to promote activities that you're working on and to find others who share your passion. So please join us at this website. And if you feel compelled to help build it to the next stage, we're looking for volunteers who want to do that.
So there's the email address, info@peacepentagon.net, if you're interested in that. And then let me just show the URL real quick again, peacepentagon.net/hub. Okay, and then let me just mention, I am the founder of a online educational portal called Social Chrysalis, which was inspired by my work with Barbara Marks Hubbard. I had really the deep honor of being co-creator of her last live program of her life. And it left me with a really big question, because she made her transition 8 weeks into a 12-week program, which we did finish. But it left me with the question, well, what do I do with this experience with this futurist and visionary? And it inspired me to create this platform called Social Chrysalis, which at the very least, just to sum it up, is teaching the skills of conscious evolution. So it invites you to go there and see what we have to offer. And then as well, we are aiming to do a follow-up conference to this, Building the New World, on January 23rd at 7 p.m. Eastern on Zoom. So here on this platform, we haven't been able to bring people in directly on camera from the audience, but our follow-up to this would be fully interactive, and we really would encourage you and would love for you to attend that. So we'll send more information out via email about it, but one of the things we wanted to model was Barbara Marks Hubbard's SynCon process, which is really based in 3 questions. When people come together from all the different sectors of the wheel of co-creation. And the first question is, what do you want to create? The second question is, what do you need to create it? And then the third question is, what do you want to give freely to others? So again, that'll be on January 23rd, 2021, 7 p.m. Eastern on Zoom. So more to come. You're on the mailing list, so you'll receive more information, and we'll post that in other places as well. And then with that, I think we're going to move on to honor our speakers. So let me bring up the presentation that we want to run through. Give me just a moment. We'll get that teed up. Okay, so we wanted to really honor everyone that had presented from the very beginning. I mean, time flies, because Laura, we started this conference a couple months ago. It seems like a long time ago. It's not all that long, but in some ways it certainly is.
Yes, it was in September, yeah.
Yeah, so there we go. Okay, so let's go through this. Our very first presenter.
Yeah, so Karen Dursevi was in amazing dialogue with our good friend, Gina Mazza. And this presentation was spectacular. If you haven't seen it, it's archived. She's considered one of the top teachers in the world, Huron is. And she designed the school. They rebuilt education or rethought education from the ground up. So this one was one of my favorites, I have to say.
Yeah, and Gina really set the tone for us to interview all of our subsequent speakers. So she did just a tremendous job interviewing Kieran. So we really appreciate her presence and her genius in contributing. And then we had Ozioma Igwanwu, who was talking about, who was in the learning and education sector. And I know Ozioma from the Conscious Business Enterprise program that I facilitated with Humanities team. And it's just extremely talented, brilliant, and just extremely well accomplished in the social space as well. So just enjoyed having her insights and her wisdom, and was happy to work with her again. Anything you want to add to that, Laura?
I enjoyed her very much at our roundtable last night, and was so pleased that she was able to participate, because she was in Portugal. She had to get up at like 2 a.m. Anyway, she's just a delight, absolute delight, and a wonderful model.
And then we had Mark Donahue in learning and education as well. So Mark worked very closely with Barbara Marx Hubbard for a long time. They were actually in the process of writing a book about evolutionary entrepreneurship when Barbara transitioned, but they had been working on that for a long time. So somehow or other, that material is going to get repurposed. We'll see what happens. But Mark is also the CEO of a public benefit corporation called Life Guides, which does peer-to-peer emotional support for people in corporations that link up with other people who've had similar experiences, whether it's caring for family members, experiencing a death of a loved one, and so forth. So we appreciated having Mark with us. Mm-hmm. And then we had Ruth on tonight's roundtable.
Yeah, she and Yolanda were the first two speakers in Sector 2, Communications and Media, and they brought forth tremendous background, experience, and diversity. Yolanda was one of the first Latin American broadcasters in LA. And anyway, it was just wonderful to hear these two women discuss first off how communications has changed over the years, and diversity has been obviously a great piece of it. There's more work to do, but also they were discussing the future of communications and media, and that was really an important discussion.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I think it's fair to say not all of them are our favorites. Anne, Michael, Sean Conaway is.
You're going to keep going. Now, this one was my favorite. This one was my favorite. Yeah, I got to say, I truly enjoyed this presentation. I did not know Michael Sean Conaway at all personally. And so his personality comes through immediately in his presentation. And I got to say, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of this man's work. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just yeah. Go back and watch that presentation. The analogies he presents in terms of how like we envision the future is really is elegant in its simplicity for sure.
Yeah.
And Yuval.
Yuval. He, I do know Yuval well. He's one of our authors at Oracle Press. We published his book, Divine Attunement, Music as a Path to Wisdom. He helped open the conference. He's known as an international peace activist, and to have him both perform at the Building the New World Conference, plus do a session where he brought together the latest research that he's actually contributing to on how sound is an assisting healing modality, was just so special. Yuval's amazing. If this was the first time you've been introduced to him, please check out his music, and then be ready to bliss out.
Yeah, and his musical performance on the conference is beautiful too. So check, and I think that might be exclusive to us. So so be sure to go back and see it if you haven't already. And then the Grays.
Oh my goodness. We have to say this is another fave. I mean, they were all fantastic. Allison and Alex Gray are cutting edge artists and cultural creatives, and they were just so generous with their openness in this session. It is not to be missed. It's just not to be missed.
I second that.
Mm.
Claire Dickinson.
Yeah, she came to us for this conference through my neighbor, Charlotte Haynes, who is a part of Rachel's Network and stays very actively involved in women in particular who are at the cutting edge of not just agriculture, but agricultural related businesses. So Laura leads the Jedi Collaborative, which is focusing on ways, and I mean, they do everything from like packaging to distribution analyses. And her presentation was so informative on how the community, various industries are coming together and pulling resources to determine the best way to get products to market.
Yeah, and just as well, what really struck me, and I'm looking forward to the day when this doesn't have to strike us, but that a woman leader in a corporate setting who's a trailblazer, is innovative, is coming from a heart-centered foundation of caring, and very successful at it. Not only just for its success's sake, but for the benefit of the planet and humanity.
Yeah.
And then Adam Stollard.
Yeah, he leads an entrepreneurial effort, also associated with a charity called Bright ID, and they're working on cutting edge algorithms to identify humans uniquely so that we can engage in transactions online safely, and also it then moves into universal basic income algorithms or protection factors for the introduction of UBI through Hedge for Humanity is the charity. So these guys are doing just amazing work. Yeah,
and they're also ensuring that your online presence is validated by other people who know who you are as a person. So this technology is really mitigating the creation of bots, that have undue influence on other people. So I actually dived into this myself and took part in one of their validation sessions just to get a little bit familiar with it. So this was neat to be part of. So check it out. And then Ellen, who was on tonight's roundtable.
Yeah, Ellen actually is a returning champion. I think she was involved in the earlier Building the World Conference, actually the first one, 2008. I think that's when I met her. She is at the forefront of public banking, which she believes, and from what we now have heard during these conferences, could be the solution to getting us off of the debt-based Federal Reserve System. So Ellen is amazing, and her book Web of Debt is a must read.
Yeah. And if you want a really nice primer on the history of money and our monetary systems and how we got to where we're at and the potential solutions, her presentation is worth watching for sure, and going back to and taking a look at that and soaking it all in. She does a really great job at just presenting it all very succinctly in a way that we can all understand. And Paul Chappelle, who was on tonight too on the roundtable.
Yes, he's another returning champion. We brought Paul in to Radford University for the 2015 Building the New World Conference, and I have to say, many people said that his session in 2015 was their favorite of that conference. So this is another not to be missed session. He's working on not just peace literacy, but how to bring his body of knowledge to the virtual reality world, because he wants to reach young people, and he's concerned that that's going to be the next medium. And if we don't get ahead of the curve in understanding that medium, we're going to lose the next generation. So he's working very hard on that issue.
And what I would invite now, the thing that's on the Facebook page is his presentation deck. His presentation itself, he asked us not to archive because it was what he's working on is very much in beta, and he didn't feel it was ready to be archived, but he did make the presentation deck available as well as an article. So take a look at that and then go to his website as well as how you could find out more. And I'm sure that as that evolves, we'll see if we can get him to present again and maybe do something special in January. Maybe we'll see.
Yeah.
David Sloan Wilson, who was on last night's roundtable, as well as presenting.
Yeah, David, I was introduced to his work about 3 or 4 years ago with his book, Does Altruism Exist? And I highly recommend that book to anyone who is serious about helping to build the new world, because it's an evolutionary and mathematical analysis of those environments in which altruism will thrive and those in which it won't. So if you're wondering if you're banging your head against the wall trying to manifest something, this book will help you determine whether your energies are best spent in that area. And obviously not working in a silo alone is a big piece of the puzzle to manifesting that which you're working on. Anyway, there's so many things we could say about David that I could go on and on, but Stephen, what do you want to say? His work.
Yeah, no, I second everything you said, and just I mean, he's such to me, an essential player in conscious evolution and what all of us are doing. But he is committed to the efficacy and the brilliance and the authenticity of science, which is refreshing, for sure. And then we had Jamie Metzel.
Yeah, so then we moved into Sector 6, which is Justice and Governance. And Jamie Metzel is a polymath who has decided that this is going to be the next focus of his genius, is basically how to tackle the issue of world federation, convincing people to think, even if they're not at a world-centric level, because I know most of our viewers are, but even if someone's not at a world-centric level, Jamie is working hard to bring out, the notion that every meme has of connectedness, and he's speaking to people at various levels on the spectrum of consciousness. And I found his presentation really inspirational, and he is kicking butt. He's already this launched in 2020. His new website, which is One Shared World. And he's got a fresh perspective on the issue of how to unite globally.
Definitely worth going back and watching. And to your point, I think it's somebody like if you have somebody who's curious about what we're doing, but may not have been interested in the entire conference, Jamie's is one presentation you could show somebody as a way to kind of ease in. And then in that same sector, we had Glenn, who was also on the roundtable the other night.
Yeah, Glenn Martin is a true visionary, and he has dedicated his life to promoting the Earth Constitution, which is a completed document. For those of you who are unaware, after the United Nations was formed and it became evident that the United Nations was not a democratic body, because not every nation has the same say at the United Nations due to the Security Council, many minds peeled off, many geniuses. So academics, jurists from around the world, and concerned citizens worked on the Earth Constitution for about 30 years. It was deemed complete in 1990, and they've been promoting this document since then. As an attorney, I have to tell you that I was very skeptical when I learned about the Earth Constitution, and when I read it, I was actually left feeling like I had jettisoned into the future, because they pretty much thought of everything. Everything is in the Earth Constitution that we would want, including one of the bodies I love is this, the House of the Counselors. They thought of adding this fourth body. So, there's the judiciary and the executive and the House of the People and the House of the Nations. Well, there's this other body called the House of the Counselors, and these would be the best and brightest from major universities around the world. Those are the people in that chamber who are also providing advice and good counsel. So please, if you're at all interested in what the future is going to look like with regard to this sector, go to the new ECI website, Earth Constitution Institute.
Yeah, and if you watch Glenn's presentation, you could watch his presentation and then go to the roundtable presentation, because there was so much that was affirmed in the panel. Not everything agreed upon, but really a lot of affirmation. And you could see a bridge between Glenn's presentation and the open discussion in the roundtable about the Earth Constitution.
Yeah.
And then I presented in Sector 7, Health and Wellness, with my good friend and faculty member on Social Chrysalis, Mike Parker, who talked about the modality of liminal coaching. Which is, so the whole idea of the presentation that I was inspired to do was about innovations in health and wellness. So I wanted to get beyond everything that's now becoming mainstream for the good, like, things like yoga and mindfulness and meditation, and wanted to look into other things, because there are other geniuses developing modalities that are evolutionary. So Mike was talking about a thing called liminal coaching. So that was my presentation. And then we had, as well, in health and wellness, Gabriel Cousins,
who is a literally world-renowned functional medicine doctor, in addition to being a rabbi. So his presentation really blends a couple sectors. It's not just health and wellness. He also brings a perspective of spirituality to looking at whole body systems and treating whole body, medicinally. Yeah,
very inspirational, because for I think a man in his mid-70s, I believe, just his own experience of what it takes to be healthy and function as a healthy human being is really inspirational. And we all have the wisdom and the codes within our bodies to achieve that. And then Ken.
Yeah, then we moved into Sector 8, and Ken Kitatani is another person with multiple talents and who wears multiple hats with regard to his building the new world work. He is totally dedicated. He's on it full time. And so this time Ken was speaking about the new charity that he is focusing on, which is the International Council on Environmental Economics and Development. And it is clicked in at the United Nations, and they're doing wonderful work around the world. Absolutely wonderful work.
And Satya was food, water, and environment.
Yeah, he was one of our international speakers, and he hails from India. And it was good to see that the practical aspects of agriculture are being tackled by people all over the world. And he had a particular system that was the basis for his PhD and also the work he's doing now. And for those people who are in this sector, I think it's a must view.
Yeah, yeah, and very scientific. So if you're a science geek about this stuff, you'll appreciate his presentation. I think at the but even beyond that, just his passion for the subject will come through and will be inspirational. And then we had this David and Tara.
Oh, so for those of you who don't know, David Suzuki was voted the greatest Canadian of all time. And he's been on the air there, I think it's for over 40 years.
Yeah.
He's been on TV and on radio. And Tara Cullis, his wife, now is president of the David Suzuki Foundation. They co-founded it together. And this was a really heartfelt, soulful, and also scientific. She kind of took the right brain and he took the left brain approach to the presentation, and it was a delight to see them present together, which is apparently something they rarely do. So this was another exceptional session at the Building the World.
Yeah, he did kind of an exclusive for us, which we're really happy about, and yeah, really powerful. And yeah, David's just his wisdom and the depth of his experience is really something. So yeah, please go back and watch that one. And then we had Peter, who was on the round table tonight. I was introduced to Peter through one of my faculty in Social Chrysalis, and got to see him give a version of the same presentation that he did for our conference before at a different online event. And I just, like when we had an opening for this sector, infrastructure and resources, I knew that Peter would be perfect for it, and he certainly was.
Yeah, he was, and I've already invited him to come here and help us lay out the Valley of Light when we acquire the farm we're seeking, and we have more land to play with. We've maxed out this land, but I want him here to help us. He is really both creative, knowledgeable, and totally dedicated to building the new world through his medium, which is architecture.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And then also in infrastructure and resources, Wee Sung Yi.
Yeah, this man is literally changing how urban development is occurring right now, and he's also working with another top architect in the world, Tom Main. And in addition to building the new cityscapes that are appearing now around the globe, they also do relief work and have assisted in rebuilding Haiti. It was a real honor to meet him and to help get the word out more about the amazing work they're doing.
Yeah, and I had really a deep appreciation for how he's the evolution of architecture in cities, because we because you could kind of take it or leave it with cities and think, well, cities are outdated and they take up too much resources, but just his thinking and the designs about how to reinvent cities so that they are thrivable, to borrow one of Peter's terms, it was really something. So really appreciated this presentation. Mm-hmm. And then Jerome Glenn, who was on the roundtable tonight.
Yes, well, he's another returning champion. He spoke at the 2015 Building the New World Conference with Barbara Marks Hubbard, and they go back a long way. And we're just really grateful because the Millennium Project is considered one of the top futurist organizations on Earth. I mean, for him to share his insight with us during this conference was truly just a great honor. Great honor.
Yeah, for sure. I had a lot of fun interviewing him on the QA of his presentation, and it was just just really powerful and insightful, and I was happy that I actually caused him to think a little bit too. So, just loved him. Then we had Robin Hanson in Science and Technology.
Yeah, Robin spoke at the 2015 conference too. We discovered him when we were looking for one of the top futurists, and we went. I mean, you can't do that sort of intel without going to Oxford's Future of Humanity Institute. So we noticed that there was this American who's affiliated, and he's at George Mason University in Fairfax. So anyway, we have a friendship with Robin, which really comes through in this presentation. You guys watch it, you're gonna laugh. It was about not just super AI, but more particularly brain emulation. That's the field in which he is considered a thought leader. And yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say about that presentation.
I was gonna say, no pun intended, but his presentation will blow your mind away in terms of what brain emulation can do, and it's I mean, regardless how you think about it, because everyone's going to think differently for sure. I mean, it's challenging, and it's good to have the awareness of what's happening in this field.
Yeah.
And then when he had Audrey, Reverend Audrey.
Yeah, then we moved into Sector 11, which is spirituality and religion, and the honors and privileges were abundant in the 2020 BTNW conference, because Audrey is the chair. I mean, she's the director of the Parliament of the World's Religions. She's also involved with the interfaith networks around the world. She's also a wise elder who spoke, you know, from that level of consciousness during her presentation. So it was just a deep, just beautiful experience to hear her speak, and for her to tailor a talk for us when this is her life's work.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just really honored to have her. She's a friend of David Corton's too, so just a lovely person, lovely spirit, and powerful presentation.
Yeah.
And then Tarun Jeet was on with her as well.
Yes, and what's fun about watching them do their session, because they did it together, and hear them talk about their work, is just about how now the interfaith organizations are coming together. So, you know, Ruth actually talked about this during the roundtable you just did, that there was a progression, an evolution to interfaith work. So now they're actually combining efforts and finding the economies of scale involved in doing conferences together, even beyond the big one, which is the Parliament of the World's Religions. So these guys are really organized. They're organizing Team Light. It was really inspirational to hear.
Yeah, and I'll just add that I feel like if religion and spirituality is one of those things that you kind of like maybe shy away from a little bit or skeptical of, the way Tarunji talks about it is very practical, and his personal stories are very powerful. So I just love the way his presentation flowed, and the conversation he had with Audrey flowed. So I highly recommend this one too. And then our thanks to Kurt.
Most definitely. Kurt also was involved with the last Building the New World conference in 2015, and he helped Stephen and me identify new speakers who we thought would be complementary to the conference. So in addition to presenting yet another very forward-thinking and insightful presentation, he also was behind the scenes helping us get through a network with speakers who we thought would enhance the conference, and we were really grateful to Kurt.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of slots that he helped us to fill, so it's just essential in more ways than one for sure. So thank you, Kurt.
Yeah.
And then you presented Spirituality and Religion.
I did present, and that came about actually because we had an opening. I want to mention that we lost one of our speakers during the course of the conference, and that's Swami Agnavesh. And so we did, the planning team decided to give me 30 minutes to express some of the insights that we've gained here at the Oracle Institute. We're really a spiritual think tank is what we are. And I was in my presentation hoping to get the word out that we do approach spirituality from multiple lenses, and that for those who are interested in this sector, we're looking for more teachers. We actually want to start a mystery school, and I mean a real mystery school. So for those of you who are into this sector, please contact me. We're looking to grow the Oracle Institute.
And if you're looking for like a really good primer on what it is to be a second tier human, this was a really good presentation for Laura. For the time that you had, you really did a great job in summarizing it all, because it's a lot of stuff to talk about, and you really did a great job with that. Yeah.
Thank you.
And then our friends from Damanhur.
Right. So the last sector is actually the hub of the wheel. It's that center. And we wanted to highlight communities that were already living in the new world, not just talking about it, not just experimenting, but even beyond experimentation into having a track record in modeling for the rest of us how to go about living in the future. So Damanhur was our top pick for intentional communities. And we have a relationship with Damanhur. We're actually building a community here called the Valley of Light, patterned partially on the City of Light, which is Damanhur's other name. And I can't say enough about Damanhur, so I'm just going to stop. I could go on. I could just go on.
Yeah, watch the presentation.
Yeah.
It's very comprehensive. So it tells you about all the aspects of everything that they did to create what they created, and all of the operational and spiritual aspects of it. So it's a powerful presentation.
And also just that they operate in each one of those sectors.
Yeah.
And that was the presentation. They went around the wheel, Barbara's wheel, and they showed what they're doing in each sector. So that's the only intentional community I know on the planet that's operational in all sectors.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And then complementary with building new sorts of communities and new models, we absolutely wanted to honor indigenous cultures and communities that never lost the original instructions, that never lost touch with, our connection to earth and to the elements and the magic of that level of consciousness, which so many people have lost. So it was such an honor to have Mindahi and his wife, Geraldine, speak on behalf of the Otomi Toltec people from Mexico.
Yeah, for sure. And Ruth brought up some of this too in the roundtable tonight, in terms of what indigenous people have to teach us, and to maybe even reteach us of our connection with earth and one another. And everyone and everything is a relative, right? So
Takiyasin. Oh my goodness. It's time for Leah. She's coming soon. So I'm going to do her bio before she performs. So I'm going to hold off on this, except to say that Leah was at our last conference as well. And when we brainstormed who we thought should close us out, we're going to close this conference out with a song that Leah wrote for the Building the New World Conference.
Yeah. And I also, just before we do that, Laura, I just want to say thank you for bringing me in as co-creator of the conference, because we talked about, originally I was invited to be there in person before the COVID madness.
Right. Yes.
And when that wasn't going to happen, we talked about what can we do, and doing this virtually was what we decided, and just grateful to be one of your co-creators in it.
Ooh, right back at you, brother. And we obviously, those on the planning team, know how hard we worked and how well we worked together, and we couldn't have done it without you, Stephen. There's no way.
Thanks. Well, and I mirror what you have said a couple of times about, given the state of the world and the country and all of the crises that are happening, that we felt compelled to do something. Like, this is the something that we had to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So thank you for doing it with us. And so I guess there's one more thank you we need to send out, and that is to the co-sponsors. So we wanted to put up a slide that I think I think they're all on it, although some came in at the end, but there were so many
Let me get a better
co-sponsors.
version.
Let's see.
Let me get a better version of this up because
Okay.
yeah, this is important too. Co-sponsors. Here we go. All right, we're going to share this.
Yeah, during the 2015 Building the Conference, we had over 100 co-sponsors. Now that we worked on for 2 years. And we very quickly pulled this conference together because Stephen's right. It was going to be an in-person, a physical retreat at the Peace Pentagon, and then COVID hit. So we pulled this conference together. How long did it was pretty fast. It was like 6 months. Yeah.
Well, I think like
start?
within a couple months. I mean, it was really quick.
Yeah. Less than 6 months. You're right.
Yeah, it must have been 3 months.
And so these co-sponsors jumped on and helped. And so we really want to thank them. And they're also listening in the BTNW program. So thank you.
And then I want to thank Katie Kennedy, who's in the green room.
Yes.
She didn't want to come on camera, but she's operationally was helping us, as well as Darcy Martin.
Yes. We couldn't have done it without them too. So thank you, everyone on the BTNW planning team. It is amazing what a small group of motivated humans can accomplish together when they put their mind to it.
All right,
so is it time?
I think so.
Are we there? Okay, So we have said our goodbyes, and there's going to be a final goodbye, and it's going to be this song. And when the song's over, we're going to fade out. So I just want to say that this has been, for me personally, a really important part of my journey. And I also want to say that Leah is going to express through music what this was all about. So let me introduce her. Leah Morris is a singer, songwriter, parent, teacher, and perpetual student. She has had the honor of playing a variety of venues. Hold on a second, I'm having trouble here. Okay, here we go. Including the Kennedy Center, concert halls, churches, conferences, including the last 2015 Building the New World Conference. Leah has won multiple musical awards, including the Grand Prize in the Bernard Ebb Songwriter Contest, the Positive Music Award, and the Mid-Atlantic Song Contest. Her music is creative, interactive, and intergenerational. She's also known for concerts, sing-alongs, songwriting workshops, and children's music play shops. Now you can find Leah's CDs at her website, also on Amazon, and her website is This Is Leah. Tonight, we're going to play the song that she wrote exclusively for this conference, and then we're going to say goodbye. Thank you for joining us for the last 8 weeks.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
One seed is all it takes to grow a forest. One candle can light a dark room. One voice is enough, speaking words of love. Each moment becomes what we choose. Do you want a new world? A world that works for everyone? Open your heart and let it be. We can become the new world. Mother Earth beneath the sky. She's waiting for you and for me. dreams light the path for us to walk on. Our songs help our spirits align, and each little child helps remind us why we not only might, we must thrive. Do you want a new world, a world that works for everyone? Open your life and let it be. We can become the new world, Mother Earth beneath the sky. She's waiting for you and for me to be a new world. With just this thought, it has begun. But don't you wanna see a new world? Your Mother Earth beneath the gray sky, counting on you and me to be a new world, to be the new world.
We were fading out. Are we still live? What's happening?
We're just doing our farewells. So thank you, everyone. We really appreciate you being with us. And please stay in touch. Please stay in touch. We'll do something in January. You'll receive notice of that soon. Thank you.
Bye.